And I have a super special video for all of you today. So a lot of people have been asking me how I go about making animations, the techniques I use, the programs that I use, and I just want to say you better stop asking me little shit. Just to clarify, these aren't tutorials, they're more of like showcases on how I make my stuff. I don't want to call them tutorials because they aren't like the way you're supposed to do it, or it's not like the firm way, like this is what they teach you in animation schools, like top 10 animation tricks they don't want you to know. This is just how I like to make my animations, how I taught myself. So don't go to mama or papa and be like,
Narmac showed me how to make animations and they're not correct because he didn't do it right.
I did not. All I'm showing you is how I like to make my animations, how I taught myself to use Adobe Flash CS6. So without further ado, let's get into it. This first one will be about shading and inking. So I pulled up on a screen just a single frame of a big, beautiful, busty man known as Bubble Bass, and we got SpongeBob and Squidward over there. This is from the teaser I just released. I'm just gonna really quickly show you how this is done. So to start off, we will go into the brush color, and we will pick our favorite color because we just want to make our animations look beautiful. And what's more beautiful than what you love to do? That's how I make my animations, and I think you should too. So you can choose whatever color you want. Maybe you like a little bit of blue. You know, blue's a cool color. Let's get a little bit of little pink. Pink's a cutie. I love little cute little pink. Not green. Never choose green. Green's horrible. But for this one, I'm gonna choose red, my favorite color. So you have your color and you just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know, hack in right here. And after you got that done, you have a beautiful animation. There you go. Bye. So what I first do when I approach shading and inking a character is I pick the appropriate tool. So for Adobe Flash CS6, I use the pencil tool. You can do that by clicking the Y key on your keyboard, or by just diddling on over to the side of your toolbar and you can see the little pencil right there. Click that and you're good to go. Next up, I like to pick a very bright, noticeable color for the pencil. So as we can see here, I have bright neon green selected. That's what I like to use. Oop, let me unlock the layer real quick. That's what I like to use. And I know a lot of you are probably wondering right now, you just said you hated the color green. You roasted it, you said it was horrible, it was disgusting, and yet you pick it for your pencil color? What's up with that? Are you just a fool? And I want to answer your question with yes. Yes, I am. So once I've selected the pencil tool with a really bright color attached to it, what I do next is I look at the frame and I try to see if there's any gaps in the line art. Because if there's any large gaps or even small gaps, when you use the fill-in tool, which you can select by pressing K on your keyboard, it will not fill in the character. So let's play some I Spy and see if we can spy any large gaps. Wow, look at that. Big belly gap over here. Just cordon that off and you're good to go. But if you notice, if I try to fill in Bubble Bass, it ain't working. What? It works here, 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 but why is it not working here? That's because there's one more gap. Can you spy the gap? That's right, it's right over here. So over on his sweaty, disgusting armpit, we have a really tiny gap, like just microscopic. You might not have noticed it at the first time. Okay, where'd it go? Okay, that was too far. There it is. This tiny little gap meant I couldn't fill in the entire character. But once I close it off, look at that. He's filled in. Beautiful. So with that out of the way, I'll now go into how I add shading to the character. So let's say we have a big, beautiful red sun here. Little planet-sized celestial body just shining on Bubble Bass. Look how excited he is. He has his like big sloppy tongue out. He's enjoying his pickles under the sun. You know, he's getting a nice sweat going on. But, you know, he is sad because he doesn't have any shadows and he feels left out. So why don't we add some shadows to him? So let's say Bubble Bass is just like red. Like everything is red. Just keep it simple with one color. We're gonna make this his body color, and I'm gonna pick a shade darker for his shadow. And you can you know, experiment with this. Like maybe you're doing something really like funky where the shadows are like a different color completely and it's like looks all stylish or whatever. You can do something like red and blue, but just have your main color of whatever you're trying to color in and your shadow color. So once I get that picked out, I now use the pencil tool to draw out the shadows on the character. Like it's kind of like you're doing line art again, but specifically for shadows. So if I'm looking at Bubble Bass, and I'll just keep it super simple, like I won't add any like light reflections or anything from the shadow side. I'll just have shadow on the right, light on the left. So if I approach it like that, let's say this fin, you know, the right side has shadow, the left doesn't. So I'll draw a line there. Let's make it a little bit neater. Let's say this big giant fish bicep will have another bit right there. And you just keep going at it until you have your entire character kind of mapped out for the shadow. So I'm just gonna do that real quick and I'll see you soon. So now that I have a really simple outline for the character where I want the shadows to be using the pencil tool, I then pick the fill in tool, select the color of the shadow, and I just fill it in like so. I kept it really simple, you know. Let me add a little bit for the lip. I kept it really simple just so, you know, this tutorial is nice and compact. I didn't add anything fancy. But yeah, we can see the white is where the light is shining and the dark is where the shadow exists. All right. So now that I've got that done, what I do next is I select the entire frame. And I can do that by just going down to the timeline and finding the frame and clicking on it. Once you do that, the entire frame selected. Then I go over to the pencil tool. I find where I pick my disgusting green color, go into the color palette. You can't really see it because it's not showing up on the recording program, but once you just click on this little box, you'll have the entire palette that shows. So click on that box, and over in the box on the top right corner, there should be a white box with a red slash just zipping right through it, and you click on it. This is what happens when you click on it. Look at that. All of the green pencil lines are gone. Now that we have this, you may notice that there are some really small gaps in the shadow, like we have here under his sweaty, hairy beard, another one right over here, and you can just select your fill-in tool and just fill those in. There you go. The reason that I put in the shadows first is that it's just easier for me to see what's going on. You don't have to necessarily do it this way. You can put in the main color first, like this one, and then you can do the shadows later, like that. It's not that big of a deal. Just do whatever you want. So let's fill in, let's fill in Bubble Bass over here. Oh, there we go. There we go. Looking good, my boy. Ooh. I might need to take a break after this. Wow. And don't forget to fill in any parts of the character that are the same color as your canvas. I do this all the time. So you see his glasses, I want that like anime glasses look like. So don't forget to fill in any gaps that are the same color as your canvas. But yeah, now we have a big, beautiful red Bubble Bass. And that's the basics of it. I'm just gonna really quickly go and do some extra stuff for those who want to make like a really nice looking frame. So some stuff you can do, and something I've been doing recently, is I add a small sliver of light on the opposite side of the character. There's actually reflection from light on whatever object might be like to the right of Bubble Bass. So let's say this beautiful, amazing sun, who's now angry for some reason, is shining his light over to something like this, I don't know, this obvious looking rock. This is a rock on the right of Bubble Bass. And that light that's shining on this rock will reflect over here. So when it does that, there's going to be a little bit of light coming from Bubble Bass's right side. This is just really fancy stuff. It just TLDR just makes it look cool, so that's why I do it sometimes. I usually don't do it for like really intensive frame animation because that's just too much work, but this is just one frame, so might as well show it. So what I would do is I'd get my pencil tool and I would just, here, let me delete that rock by rock. It's a rock, trust me. So I get my pencil tool and I just, add a little bit of light going in over here, maybe a little bit going on his nipple, a little bit on his tongue. Ooh, look at that tongue, like that tongue looking good. Ooh, I'm gonna take a bite out of that, let's go. That's how I approach shading and inking my characters. Obviously, I don't have characters that are just completely red. I use different colors, so that's just a little bit more work. You just select, let's say his skin color is green. Just pick a dark color. There you go. And I just, go at it, Haas. Wow, he kind of looks like Shrek. A fish, twisted Shrek who wears glasses under the sea. I love Shrek. So I just really quickly pulled up the actual scene from the animation. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and I'd like to describe that in like later videos, but for now we're gonna keep it calm, keep it chill, and just continue with the inking and shading. So if we look at Bubble Bass, the light on this character here is kind of not coming from the side, like the example that I showed, but it's more of behind him. Like if I were to make him just invisible for a sec, there's like a spotlight shining behind him into his back. That's supposed to be an arrow. It just looks like a bunch of squiggly lines, because that's what art is, squiggly lines. Ooh, let's put that behind him. So there's a light coming onto his back, and I just added light onto the sides of Bubble Bass, so it's all behind him. You can see that from his sides. And all the center here is just shadow. That's how I approach inking and shading my characters. And again, like I said, this is the first time I've ever made something like this, so I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a comment and just tell me what I did right or what I did wrong, I loved your coloring, like the way you just move your brush across the canvas is just, oh, so beautiful, you're amazing. Or you leave a comment like,
you little stop making videos. Delete your channel and kill yourself and your life.
You can do anything like that, constructive criticism, I'll take it all. I honestly hope this showcase gave like perspective animators an idea of what they could do to start animating. I know there might be better ways to do this, there might be like better programs that you should start with, but this is just what I do and it works. Maybe I'll learn a different way in the future and then I can make a new video, but this is what I do now. So I hope this video was very helpful, or gave you a little bit of insight on animation work or what you can do. And if you didn't learn anything or you didn't get anything from this, then you are one of the dumbest motherfuckers. But yeah, that's it. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and be part of the NARNAT gang. Ka-cha!